Hey Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. We have to start off this Friday Reads by talking about the Pulitzer Prize. Now, some Booktube channels are really focused on one prize, some focus on lots of prizes. I am only focused on the Pulitzer Prize. At the end of 2007, I decided I would read all the books that had won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, which took me about 2 years. And since then, I have kept up with it every single year. But overall, I don't read a lot of new books. So, or no new books. I've often thought of renaming my channel to something to do with backlisted books or something like that. But yeah, I don't read a lot of the things that are, I don't know, some things get so hyped and everyone's talking about them. And anyway, the thing I like about the Pulitzer, in addition to the fact that I may somehow managed to read all of them, so there's no long list, and the short list only comes out the same day as the winner. So there's not all of this build up to the Pulitzer Prize. I did look, by no means was it an exhaustive list, but I did look at some of the predictions, and kind of went back and forth between articles that were predictions and my library catalog to see if they had the books. Most, if they did have them, they're checked out. But I did not see the book that won, or maybe even the finalists, and I don't remember who the finalists are now, of course. The book that won the Pulitzer this year is called Night Watch, not to be confused with The Night Watch by Sarah Waters, but Night Watch by Jayne and Phillips. Now, the thing that is remarkable about this winner, well, first of all, my library does have it, but of course it is checked out. Talk more about that in a second. But I have actually read a book by the author of the winner of this year's Pulitzer Prize, Lark and Termite. It was a finalist for the National Book Award, and I, talk about the "Don't You Forget About Me" tag. I do not remember this book at all. I thought I had a memory of not really liking it, but I think that Jason bought it for me, or I bought it because we thought that year it was actually going to win the Pulitzer Prize. So I went, I have 2 Goodreads accounts. Please, friend, follow me on the account listed down below. I'm not as good at keeping up with the other Goodreads account that I have, but I looked up to see if I had written a review of Lark and Termite. So I read, when I finally got around to reading Lark and Termite, I read it for my public library's book club. And I was an employee at the time, notice former employee. And so I gave it 4 stars, which I'm kind of amazed by. So this is my review of Lark and Termite. I chose this for our library's book club, and they hated it. It did not go over well. People felt there was so much sentimentality. It was maudlin. The characters were uninteresting, and the supernatural, mystical elements confusing. For my part, I thought the writing was strong, and there was a tremendous, maybe too many layers to the story. The author or her editor didn't know how to end it, though. Her flaws were flaws of ambition, which I tend to more readily, I'm more readily available to forgive those flaws. The book club, however, was not. So, yeah, I just can't, that just, the only time that's happened that I can think of is Colson Whitehead, and it's only because he won the Pulitzer twice. And so when we got to the second book, I had already read The Underground Railroad when he won it for The Nickel Boys. So, which I much prefer The Nickel Boys. Tell me what you think about all of this, by the way. Have you read anything by Jayne Phillips? Have you read Night Watch, and what did you think of it? And don't spoil anything for me, okay? But yeah, I'd be curious to know, yeah, what you guys thought. Anyway, so I was actually really happy that I'm like, oh, I actually did like this book. So it makes me feel a little bit better, and you know, clearly she's been on the radar for a while. My library does have a Night Watch. It's checked out. It's due next week, but and tell me if this is a trend where you live. My library's kind of gotten away with like due dates and fines, like sort of this ambiguous, like, well, if you want to bring it in on this date, that'd be great, but if not, like, it's okay. So I might get it next week, I might not. I am first in line, so that is good. And actually, I'd like to get through my buddy read books before I tackle the Pulitzer, but I am excited about it. I did call my infamous used bookstore to see if they had a copy, and they didn't even know what book I was talking about. So there are no alternatives. The library is the choice, because I just don't know. I mean, if I love it, I will probably get it, but I'm not sure. And the other irony about trying to find Night Watch is I found they still do actually have the book club kit that's from when I did this book club discussion with my public library. Now, I've seen several people do the library tag this week. I was tagged by Booklist Pete. And Pete, thank you so much for tagging me. I love libraries. I am such a strong believer in libraries globally. They are the great equalizer. They're so empowering. They're so transformational. But I have such a complicated relationship with the local library that it is very difficult for me to talk about libraries without kind of like opening up a wound that's pretty deep. And so Pete, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do the library tag. Thank you for tagging me, but I think I don't know that I could do a tag about libraries and not have like some serious darkness come out, and maybe you guys would like that, but I don't think I would feel very good about that video. So I have actually worked for 2 different public library systems over the years and years, and of course I worked for Barnes & Noble for 4.5 years. So a lot of great memories of, you know, public libraries, but some traumatic ones too. So let's talk about what I have been reading. I'm doing 2 buddy reads right now, which I may have made a mistake there, but they're great, and I'm not very far into them. My buddy readers, please forgive me. I should have rescheduled like one of them or something like that, but it's okay. So I started Hard Times. Look at this beautiful edition of Hard Times. I started it, and so I read A Christmas Carol last year, but otherwise I didn't read any Dickens. And since I've been on Booktube, I've read at least one Dickens novel every year. So last year was a very strange, I mean, I don't really count A Christmas Carol because I read it every year. So to pick up Dickens again, It's a little frightening, right? But I'm not even to page 50 yet, and I am loving this book, and I'm loving where I think it might go and what could happen with the characters. Yeah, so it's, it was great. It was just so great when I started reading it. I have decided, for those of you who don't like Victorian literature or that kind of thing, because this is the 5th month in a row that I've read a Victorian novel, and so June is going to be not only Victorian free, but I'm hoping not even any books set in England. So we're gonna read some other stuff in June, because of course then we have Jane Austen July, so we have to go back to England again. But anyway, hard times. Like I said, I have just scratched the surface of this book, and I'm just loving it. Like, just the humor, the irony. Yeah, it's just like meeting up with an old friend. So, and I'm reading it with Jo Smith, and she and I have read so many Dickens books together. And so she fortunately, well, she's also reading, you guys get this, Jo is reading, I think, like 12 books right now. Maybe 13, I'm not sure. It's crazy though. I don't know how she does it, but she does all these buddy reads, and then, like, so if I fall behind, like, she just works on a different book, you know, that sort of thing. So we make it work out really well, but it's partly because Jo can actually read a lot of books at the same time. So, the other book I'm reading is set in 1950s England, or at least it starts then. I have a feeling some time is going to pass. This is In This House of Brede by Rumer Godden. And I am doing this as a buddy read with Faith from Faith and Books. And she had mentioned wanting to read all of Rumer Godden's books on her channel, and I was like, I have this one. Would you like to read it? And it also happens that it's May, which in the past has been maybe Midrash. I'm not sure I'm going to get to a nonfiction book that addresses any kind of faith issues, and maybe Midrash is not necessarily like a Christian reading event. It can be books related to any religion or belief system. So yeah, but I'm just really scratching the surface of this book. There are so many characters in this House of Brede. So many characters. And so, yeah, but I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm trying to keep track of all the different nuns. It's set in an abbey. Yeah, so I look forward, hopefully I will be much farther along the next time we chat about this book. Even though it looks quite large, the type font is really big, and the lines are spaced out quite a bit, so it's a very comfortable reading experience as well, even though it's a large book. I think I'll wrap this up, but I would love to know what was your reaction to the Pulitzer Prize? I was listening to the live broadcast, and I was very nervous because there were some other awards, primarily in the area of journalism, that there were 2 winners, and I was like, oh, please, no, not two Pulitzer books again this year. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily. I'm just not really, when you only have 3 finalists and you pick 2 of them to win, the third one, I feel like it suffers quite a bit for that. So yeah, I'd love to know what you think. Maybe you've read something else by Jayne and Phillips. Again, I've only just read the one book, soon to be two. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Tell me what you're reading and what you're enjoying and loving right now. And yeah, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can always leave an emoji or give this video a thumbs up, which really does help my channel, and is also just a really easy way just to kind of say hi if you don't feel like you have anything to add to the conversation. So I understand. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.